Good afternoon, everybody. Our first event coming up onto the line, the Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V Series Round 3. 8 laps the journey, 25 cars on the grid, and the driver with pole position, David Cutts in the Spectre. Great time, 59.8. He'll share row 1 with Bernie Hanley, 60.32. Row 2 is Stephen David and Greg McCombie. Row 3, Peter Kleinig and Frank Kleinig, the two Makos. A little bit of time difference between those guys. Row 4 is Jeff Stone and Arnold Rigby. Row 5, Matthew Shepherd and Robert Borton. And rounding out the top dozen drivers in this big field, David Smith and Norm Johnston. So 59.8, that's a flash time. 59.58 is the lap record, and they get away with Bernie Hanley making a very good jump of it. And tucked right in alongside was David Cutts, who runs with him right to the top of the hill. Plenty of sun in the driver's eyes as they get up there today, although you can see some cloud building up towards the west at the moment. That may play an interesting part in this afternoon's race card. And a big program for you, but it's Cutts in the blue car. Bernie gets pushed out wide, drops 2 spots. There's going to be plenty of jostling in this third round. It's an interesting situation in the series with Frank Kleinig leading with 15 points, 6 clear of Bernie Hanley. Taylor is third with 4. Moving up quickly in car number 3 is Stephen David. That's the white car.
So Bernie Hanley now drops back into 4th spot. Man who sat on the front row. Might do a little tougher here this afternoon. Expect to see some big things from Kleinig. Cutts, though, will lead them into the late corner for the first time. This Coca-Cola Bottler Series for Formula V's that always provides very, very close and interesting racing at Amaroo Park. They're coming up for the completion of the first lap. Bernie Hanley still with a lot to do.
He's dropped back to 4th place. He's about 3 or 4 lengths behind this man. Car number 7, Greg McCombie, in the Concept. Makes a move at the top of the hill. That's him on what rapidly transpires as the outside of the road up there. Cutts doing plenty of defending at the moment. Stephen David still mixed in there in car number 3. McCombie gets out a little wide, gets up onto the ripple strips. Now has to tuck in under the back of the second car. Great shots from race cam. Bernie Hanley, the pilot, closes just a little under brakes as he goes through the left-hander at Park Royal, wanders a little bit wide. Oop. In fact, there was a reason for that by the look of it, as he quite plainly signals.
I think that was Kleinig perhaps making it just a little tight in that corner. Cutts, though, will lead them along the short straight, coming up to complete the second lap. Still in second spot is Stephen David. Just back behind them, Peter Kleinig. Then Frank Kleinig drops in 1 spot behind him, and Bernie Hanley goes 1 back on the queue.
He's the coming man in V racing. David Cutts, only 25. Most of the guys that have been doing well in this category are members of the over 40 club.
Whoops.
Whoa. After you.
Greg McCombie there giving Stephen David a nice lift via the infield. They'll manage to get through the loop and now head along down the back straight.
Peter Kleinig was playing for keeps there. Car 33, that's the black car. Tucked right in behind McCombie.
Up through Power Plus corner now. The exit from Honda is Peter Kleinig. Right behind him, Stephen David in car number 3. Down to the late corner, the right-hander. And there is the gap that our race leader, David Cutts, is opening up over the rest of the field in the Pram City machine.
It's the biggest gap I've seen in Formula V racing for a long time.
Certainly at this circuit.
Well done, David. He's equal second in the series at the moment. I goofed a bit on those points. Kleinig leads with 15, and then sharing 9 apiece, Bernie Hanley and Cutts. And look at this scrap at the top of the hill, 3 wide.
With all the notes you take, how could you get it wrong?
Oh, that's probably the reason.
Wow.
No room there for Cutts. McCombie gets through to what, 3rd?
Cutts break over the field at the moment, 1.31 seconds. As Neil has mentioned, that is a big gap here at Amaroo Park for Formula V's.
Life not so nice at the moment for Bernie Hanley, who's back in what, 5th or 6th position or thereabouts.
That's been Bernie's lot in life for most of this 88 season, and he's not too happy about it because he's always been among the front runners in Formula V racing, particularly here at Amaroo Park for endless seasons.
That gap looks like it's getting better.
Yes, extending all the time.
4 laps to go.
Peter Kleinig still running comfortably in second spot and holding up the rest of the field, allowing David Cutts to get away from the pack.
Has he ever? 2.1 seconds. First to second at the moment. Bernie Hanley in the Toledo Tools entry. just back a bit off that group, and he's going to have to work very hard to make up that gap. Gee, what a wide entry from Greg McCombie. Gets right out, swoops down low.
Not half as wide as Frank Kleinig's entry. That's enabled Bernie Hanley to close up just a little as they go down through Power Plus corner on the way to Honda at the moment.
They're good to watch, these top running Formula V guys. It's a real exercise in gentle driving and absolute precision, because you've got so little horsepower and nothing fancy on the car. You've just got to strangle every last little bit of performance out of it. And that's what Bernie's attempting to do at the moment as he comes out of the slowest corner on the track, the right-hander that brings drivers up onto the pit straight. And you're only straight on Amaroo Park for a matter of seconds, and it's just here. And the rest of the time you're working your tyres and brakes pretty hard. So Peter Kleinig now, car number 33, makes a run. Stephen David still probing away in there at the moment. Gary's doing a good job. Peter got really sideways that time. It's something you really can't afford to do in a Formula V. Washes off a whole bunch of speed and revs.
Well, this has really closed the race up now.
That was the bonus that Bernie needed. Oh, great shots here again from race cam.
Down to the left-hander at Honda. Frank Kleinig just ahead of Bernie Hanley. You can forget David Katz. He's opened up that gap. Okay. Opening to over 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. Actually on 3 seconds at the moment. Here's where the scrap is, though. Young Kleinig trying to fend off. There's Bernie Hanley, Toledo Tools car, carrying our race cam and keeping you up to date with what the action is like from the driver's seat here today at Amaroo Park. It was pretty close stuff from Stephen David as he swung around the outside of Peter Kleinig, almost just clipped the wheel there.
We're looking at 5 different drivers with 5 different lines. Well, David Cutt's qualifying form certainly indicated that this would be the result. He did a 59.8. Pretty healthy sort of stuff. Half a second faster than Hanley. Hasn't he disappeared? So this battle for second is the crucial one. And this is extremely important in the Coke point score for 88. Run down the inside there from number 4. Kleinig, he doesn't hold back, does he?
No, he got very wide that time. Hanley made a move down the outside to close it up. Couldn't do much about it because Kleinig just accelerated away from him. Coming up now for the completion of the 7th lap.
It's out to 4 seconds, that gap, first to second. Incredible. David Cuts in the Pram City entry, disappearing into the distance. There he goes up the hill, and look at this scrap. Peter Kleinig in 33.
Greg McCombie, number 7, sitting right behind him and moving to the outside. Then Frank Kleinig back on the inside of the next row.
And Stephen David are on their last lap, a little less than 2 kilometres. 2 black cars now nose to tail, the Kleinig entries.
There's Greg McCombie in the Farah entry, number 7. Trying to fend off the challengers behind. David Cuts, I think, will be coming up for 2 in a row here at Amaroo Park Raceway in the Pram City machine. He's been able to nurse it along quite nicely down to the right-hander at the lake.
Extra 9 points is going to bump his point score along nicely to 18. 5 cars involved in this scrap for second place, and what a ripper. And at the moment, number 7, Greg McCombie's got the edge by about 1 car length with 1 turn to run. Here comes the leader and ultimate winner. Congratulations, David Cuts in the Pram City car. An excellent drive in the Formula V, but look at this one. Peter Kleinig up on the outside, couldn't quite get to Greg McCombie, I don't think, and then Frank Kleinig. And real hard to separate Bernie Hanley from Stephen David. Great stuff in the Formula Vs for the Coke Series.
8 laps the distance. No doubt about the man who set the pace throughout the race, David Cuts in the Spectre, after getting on pole position yesterday with a 59.80 seconds and a clean break over the rest of the field. And that was certainly transmitted to the rest of the field when they took off from the start line. There's our race winner, David Cuts, as he heads back towards the pit area.
Well, that extra 9 points, as I said, bumps him up to 18, and that's something that'll put a smile on his face. David Cuts the winner on the Castrol scoreboard from Greg McCombie, Peter Kleinig, Frank Kleinig, and rounding out the top 5 was Stephen David. 6th must have been Bernie Hanley. We're back in a moment.